Yo, what is going on YouTube? It is your boy GZTV back with another video, and in this video we are going to be talking about the 75th overall episode of The Sopranos, the 10th of season 6. We have Mo and Joe. Obviously 75 episodes is a pretty big milestone for a show, so here we are. We have done 75 videos on this, so that's pretty awesome, Been some really good content. We've had some really good discussions about this show, ever since we started talking about it. Obviously, there's someone that died, and there is actually a character that is making their final appearance for the show too, that I later found out. I know it's kind of a spoiler, but they're not going to be a part of the show anymore, so it's really interesting. So we're just going to get into what happened, maybe have a bit of a discussion at the end, and I'm going to call it. I got to start editing that Emeka Okafor gameplay that's coming out for you guys today, and yeah, then I gotta get to other stuff. I have to watch the next episode of The Sopranos, which we'll be talking about tomorrow, and then also I have to record a video for disc 2 of the future Metro Boomin album. So let's get into what happens. So, knowing that a plea agreement with the FBI would involve the confiscation of most of his assets, Johnny sends his brother-in-law Anthony Infante to ask Tony to convince two businessmen in New Orleans, with whom Johnny is a silent partner, to sell their company so he can get his share. He can get some money, kind of have some secret assets he can get to Jenny while he is incarcerated, because he is thinking of taking some sort of plea deal with the FBI that's going to put him away for a decade and a half. So Tony reluctantly agrees, but only one of the pair is willing to sell, and he does not press the matter. He's like, you know what, I'm not going to try too hard. I'm not going to create a bad relationship with these people. I don't even really know these guys. So he decides to not really go too far with it. So meanwhile, during Jenny's birthday celebration, Janice admires Johnny's house. She really likes it, all the architecture. It reminds her of an old Italian villa, and this kind of leads one thing to another. Tony proposes to Johnny that he will guarantee his partners in New Orleans will sell their company. In exchange, Johnny will sell his house at a discount to Janice and Bobby. He's going to be away for 15 years. A lot kind of happens in 18 years. So when he gets out, it's not like he's going to have really this house anyway. So Tony decides to, be really nice to Janice and do a good deed, because he feels like, yeah, she's been needy. Yeah, he's had a reason to be kind of mad at her sometimes, but he's also kind of yelled at her for no reason and kind of gotten overly pissed at her. So he feels like, he wants to make it up to her with this. So Johnny, with few options, agrees. I mean, there's really not much he can do. He's incarcerated. It's not like he's going to go out there and change things himself and ask for better deals. He can't really do that. So Johnny learns from his lawyer he will have to enter an allocution, which is like a statement made to the court, who's been found guilty prior to being sentenced. An allocution is you admitting to being guilty. It's the main thing. When someone pleads guilty, they're having an allocution. So in an agonizing decision, he accepts the plea deal. So he pretty much folds. You're in the mafia. The custom is if you're under fire like this, you're supposed to go to trial and fight for freedom. But no, he just takes this deal and kind of sacrifices a bunch of things, and it doesn't bode well with the crime families. They do not like this decision. He receives a 15-year sentence, forfeits $4.1 million in assets, and admits in court that he was a member of a New York faction of the mafia. And that's the main problem that everyone else in the crime families has, is that he actually admitted that he was a part of this. He admitted this thing exists. That's kind of what Phil Leotardo was mentioning. And yeah, it's not good. Again, yeah, it's met with anger and contempt by the members of his crew. So Carmela again pressures Tony to meet with a building inspector and have the stop order lifted on her spec house project. She's super adamant about that. She's getting on his case about it, and for good reason. I mean, all Tony has to do, he has connections everywhere. He can just have someone go, or he could go himself and ask this guy, lift the stop order. I keep thinking my teeth are crooked. Nah, we're good. Sorry, that was unnecessary. But because of it, Carmela has less time for the family, for shopping and cooking, and is not there to comfort Meadow, who is distressed by her souring relationship with Finn. This is just it's kind of changing for the worse, her and Finn. So Tony enlists Silvio to intercede, but later tells Carmelo that the building inspector cannot be persuaded, but she should consider selling the spec house. Getting a little bit back on your investment. Maybe we can start from scratch sometime in the future. He's pretty much telling her, now is not the time for this. And to an extent, he's kind of right, but if now is not the time, then I don't know if ever is going to be the time at the same time. Sorry, I'm not really making sense, am I? So, yeah, obviously Carmelo's a bit upset. Janice accuses Tony of being unfair to her and Bobby, which I guess is why Tony kind of brought this deal up to Johnny. She claims that he blames them for his being shot by Junior, and that he ridicules Bobby and does not promote him, even though he is Tony's brother-in-law. Even though, yeah, they call this a crime family, but Bobby Bacala is literally his family now by law. So, yeah, he should be a little more nicer now that he has that sort of connection. And Tony tells her pretty much, you don't have these obligations. You shouldn't be feeling entitled to these type of things just because you're related to me, So, in therapy with Dr. Melfi, Tony speaks of resentments dating from childhood and admits he is mistreating Janice in revenge. Melfi suggests that her misery reminds him of his mother. Misery, when she comes to him about stuff, it reminds him of his mother. So, as if he can make her happy, it's going to take the past thoughts of his mother away, and his life's going to go a lot smoother. He's going to be a lot happier, and that's why he kind of had the deal with the house. So it's good that he did that. When Tony obtains the house for her, Janice is overcome with gratitude. She's kind of speechless at it all. She never would have thought her brother would do this. So, while making collections in a dangerous section of Newark, this is crazy. Bobby is mugged by a gang of African-American youths. He's pulled to the side, gets kicked to the ground, and almost gets shot. After they take his money and gun, one of them fires it into the pavement in front of him and sends concrete fragments into his right eye. So we could pretty much assume that Bobby Bacala is going to be blind in that eye for life. So Paulie calls Tony to deliver the news and reveals that he is having radiotherapy for early-stage prostate cancer. So they had the biopsy, and they figured out that Paulie actually has cancer, and that's going to be something that's going to kind of carry on to the future episodes of the show. I think next we're going to watch You, by the way. I'm really excited to watch that because a lot of people have good things to say about it. That should be starting real soon. Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do for content, once the NBA is over, but we'll figure it out. So, in New Hampshire, Vito, who now lives with Jim, he lives with Jim, they moved in together, admits that he left a family and a job in contracting in New Jersey, and he's living a lie. He's pretty much telling Jim stuff that's not true. He's not even named Vincent, which doesn't reveal that, but yeah. He gets a job as a handyman and wins admiration in the town by assisting the firefighter team in a rescue operation. So, he's getting some street cred out here. People are starting to become a fan of the new guy in town. So Vito and Jim declare their love for each other. Obviously, they're gay. We know this. They've been closeted. Both of them have even had wives and kids to cover it up. So, however, Vito grows discontented with the slow pace of his new life. And one morning, while Jim is still asleep, he leaves. He's out of there. He wants to go back to New Jersey. Despite the ridicule he might get, he wants to return there. He wants to return to his family. This was a lot more of an exciting life for him than anywhere else, really. Just being a part of this family. He knows he'll probably be shunned. Honestly, it's possible that he could get killed because some of the members in the family have that kind of motive, but yeah. Drinking vodka from the bottle, Vito rounds a corner on a country road and crashes into a parked Jeep Wagoneer. And this is crazy. Vito just goes completely off the deep end here. This is just wild. So when the owner refuses to take cash as compensation and starts walking to his home to call the cops, Vito murders him and drives away. You could have paid the damages. They could have filed a police report. Everything could have went smoothly. Vito could definitely afford it. He was a part of a crime family. But, no, he just kills the guy and goes away. Back in New Jersey, he slowly drives through the old neighborhood, stopping briefly in front of Satriale's before speeding off. And we're not really sure what Vito is planning to do. Obviously, the Jeep owner is the only guy that died here. He was shot in the back of the head by Vito while walking to his house in an attempt to call the police after Vito damaged his truck. And this episode, also another significance, marks the final appearance of the character Finn DiTrolio, Meadows' then boyfriend. The couple later break up, and Finn is only mentioned in future episodes. I kind of got spoiled that, but it seems like it was bound to happen. So I think they're going to break up in the next episode, and then Finn's just not going to be a part of the show anymore. So there's that. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, though. Really good episode. I think there's a lot kind of lining up for the end of the season. You know, what's going to happen to Johnny, you know, the backlash of that. Will Vito return to, you know, the crime family? I just want to keep watching. I think this is a really good show, man. Obviously, you know, some of the week is going to be taken up by content, but yeah. I'm out, guys.